Before running off to bed, I want to explore two stories, apparently unrelated, which taken together offer a sobering reflection on 21st century warfare. On the one hand, Ukraine's audacious use of fiber optic drones to strike deep into Russia. On the other, revelations that senior figures from Donald Trump's inner circle may have been astonishingly lax with sensitive data, including reportedly email accounts tied to Russia itself. It's simply staggering. This is a war where drones don't just kill, they destabilize, and where information, not just explosives, becomes the battlefield. Forget tanks and trench charges, this is a drone war now. Ukraine, under constant pressure and with erratic Western support, has become a battlefield innovator. The once humble quadcopter is now a symbol of national resistance and asymmetric retaliation. A new era has emerged. Fiber optic drones, wired not by signal but by spools of quartz cable that come out of the backside of the drone. So as the drone is flying, you have this cable littering the ground. This leap circumvents Russian electronic warfare jammers by literally dragging a physical line behind the drone like a digital umbilical cord. And Ukraine recently used such drones to strike in Saransk, Russia's only facility producing combat-grade fiber optic cable. The target was symbolic and strategic. Without that cable, Russia's own jamming-proof drones face a production bottleneck. The signal here isn't just the payload, it's the message: we can hit your arteries, we can hit your fiber optic cables. The fiber optic attack wasn't a one-off. Ukraine's drones have ignited oil refineries, disrupted railways, and scorched the Promsyntes explosives plant. Each strike punctures the myth of Russian invulnerability and raises the spectre of drone warfare, making geography irrelevant. And these are not anonymous missiles fired from afar into civilian populations. Many of these drones are homegrown, hand-built by civilian teams in Kyiv garages and Lviv workshops. It's a war of ingenuity, soldering irons versus state arsenals. And what we're seeing is a kind of industrial sabotage at scale, executed not by intelligence services but by flight hobbyists turned patriots. And while Ukraine innovates, the United States' former power brokers seem busy tripping over their own shoelaces. Pete Hegseth is one good example. Trump's his Fox News favorite and somehow Secretary of Defense in this parallel reality. Recent investigations by Der Spiegel and the Finnish researcher Pekka Kallioimi unearthed an astonishing story that Hegseth may have once registered a mail.ru account, yes, a Russian email service with a password identical to one that he used in Princeton. Alongside him, Tim Volz and Tulsi Gabbard reportedly had personal data floating in breach databases accessible via simple marketing tools. This isn't espionage. This is laziness so profound it borders on sabotage. And then there's the Signal chat debacle, where senior Trump officials reportedly used an unencrypted commercial app to discuss military strikes, accidentally adding a journalist to the group chat. If you scripted this for Veep, they'd cut it for being too implausible. This isn't merely comic, it's dangerous. If Ukraine is showing how a modern state can weaponize the smallest tools for precision and disruption, Trump's circle seems to demonstrate how even the most powerful empire can be undone by complacency and ego. And the email scandal, with overlapping passwords, unverifiable Russian connections, the Proton mail tie-ins, remains murky. But in this sort of politics, perception is often more potent than fact, and the mere suggestion of Russian overlap contaminates trust. Here lies the contrast. Ukraine has had to build its own security layer, from garage-built drones to battlefield fiber networks. And meanwhile, some of Trump's former top brass treat cybersecurity like a Pinterest lock-in. While Ukraine innovates with desperate brilliance, elements of the American right play fast and loose with national secrets, and this strategic asymmetry is alarming. Ukraine's drones are not just tactical, they're political. They compensate for wavering US aid, for Trumpian threats to cut off assistance, for Russia's vast industrial base. In that sense, each drone is a form of insurance against abandonment, against betrayal. And with reports that Donald Trump privately warned Zelensky a big problem should he return to the White House, Ukraine's drive for self-reliance suddenly feels prescient. Drones and data links. These two tales from the front lines of modern warfare. One reveals a state fighting for survival with homegrown brilliance. The other shows a ruling clique so sure of its own immunity it leaves digital breadcrumbs on Russian servers. Leaks. Nonsense. The battlefield of tomorrow is not just steel and blood. It's also bytes and bandwidth. And in this war of drones and secrets, Ukraine may yet have the upper hand, not because it's stronger, but because it's smarter, and smarter than the US